After India thwarted Chinese intrusion attempts in South Bank of Pangong in Ladakh, India today has accessed exclusive details of how India pushed back the intruding Chinese. Top sources told India today that Indian soldiers noticed suspicious movement on the night of August 29th. In fact, the Chinese were moving in a vehicular convoy. However, the Army's Vikas regiment posted in the area acted swiftly and captured the strategic height. The Chinese intention was to capture the dominant hill on the Indian side. India had already sensed Chinese intentions after China had refused to even discuss the disengagement plans on August 2nd, Lieutenant General talks. Another level of brigade commander level meet is expected today. In fact, India meanwhile has made its stance quite clear that it is open for the disengagement and not interested in further escalation. However, India has also made it clear that it will forcibly preempt any hostile actions.
Don't be fooled by the silence from Ladakh over the last few weeks. The Chinese have been on the move, except this time they have been caught in their tracks. The line of actual control is on the boil again. The Chinese army has provoked again, and tensions have spiked. On Saturday night, about 200 Chinese soldiers once again tried to make a fresh intrusion bid on the southern banks of the Pangong Lake. The vehicle convoy comprising SUVs made a dash in an attempt to occupy fresh territory. But this time, the Indian Army was lying in wait. Late last week, the Indian Army had foreseen the Chinese action and deployed in advance as a preemptive move, something the Chinese had not expected. When challenged PLA convoy stopped, there was major jostling. But with the Indian Army unit stood its ground, determined not to concede even an inch, the PLA troops were forced to retreat. There were no injuries or casualties of any kind.
The southern bank of Pangong Lake had been calm since the standoff started in early May, nearly 4 months back. It is clear that China wanted to make forays into a new area and open a new front. But the Indian Army, due to its enhanced surveillance, was able to detect the Chinese movement very early on and launched a preemptive action, making sure the Chinese do not advance forward.
Make no mistake, ever since Galwan Valley clash on 15th of June, the Indian Army has been on full operational alert to thwart any Chinese misadventure.
They have to go back to status quo ante if they really want peace. The problem is they don't want peace. How long can we go in for a one-sided peace? In my very humble opinion, I think the time has come to call China's bluff, to make it pay a cost and suffer consequences for needlessly aggressive behavior.
After multiple rounds of talks, which has resulted in minor troop pullback, the fresh attempt by China has shown no intent of meeting its commitments. With Chinese troops holding on the flashpoints and significant military build-up by China in the depth areas, the writing on the wall is clear. It's going to be a harsh winter, with little hope of the ice melting anytime soon. With Abhishek Bhalla, Bureau Report, India Today.
Amidst tension at the line of actual control, sources say that Indian Army has significantly enhanced deployment of troops and weapons in all strategic points around the Pangong Tso Lake in eastern Ladakh. Not taking any chances, Army has also further bolstered overall surveillance mechanisms in eastern Ladakh. IAF is keeping a close watch on Chinese air activities along the line of actual control. IAF is also carrying out nighttime combat air patrols over the eastern Ladakh region in an apparent message to China that it was ready to deal with any eventualities. The top military and security brass has already reviewed the entire situation in eastern Ladakh. Chief of Army Staff General M.M. Naravane held a meeting with top military officials over the fresh confrontation. It's been 115 days since the Ladakh standoff has been simmering, and it's quite clear now that China will not be backing down. Despite several rounds of military and diplomatic level talks, China hasn't honored its commitment of restoring status quo ante, from moving its troops and battle tanks to deploying its fighter jets along the line of actual control. Here's how the tension has been building up.
No trust. No disengagement. No pullback. Full aggression, full hostility, full duplicity. The Chinese once again proved themselves worthy of India's total distrust. China's latest attempt to mount hostile actions on the southern banks of the Pangong Lake come 116 days after the standoff in eastern Ladakh began. Ironically, the fresh attempted aggression by China takes place just a few kilometers from where the standoff was originally triggered, on the north banks of the Pangong Lake on May 5th. That clash escalated into a wider standoff by China at 3 more flashpoints in the Galwan Valley, Hot Springs and Gogra Post. On 6 June, recognizing the warlike mobilization, the two sides held unprecedented Lieutenant General level talks to defuse the situation. But those talks proved futile, because just 9 days later, things exploded on June 15 in the Galwan Valley. With a violent clash that killed several troops on both sides, an incident revealed and detailed first on India Today. On June 19, China escalated aggressions by occupying the ridgeline at Pangong So's Finger 4 with semi-permanent position. On June 23rd, India Today reported on satellite images depicting crucial Chinese movements on the southern banks of the Pangong So. Just days later, on July 3rd, Prime Minister Modi visited Ladakh. A few days later, the two sides arrived at an agreement to disengage. But even as a token pullback was witnessed in the Galwan Valley and the Hot Springs area, India Today told you how China was continuing to remain deployed in the crucial Pangong area as well as Gogra Post. A tense calm followed, with the Chinese refusing to move back further and India remaining fully mobilized. On August 29, things erupted again, and the Indian army was lying in wait. Late last week, intelligence reports flashed the Chinese army movements across the line of actual control in the Chushul sector near the Pangong So Lake, a place where the Chinese had been building up force levels since late June. The latest incident saw the Indian army thwart the Chinese aggression with sharp preemptive action. But in doing so, it has also confirmed that China hasn't changed its intent even a little. It remains fully hostile and nothing has changed. For India, this war is a war of sovereignty. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, as the probe into Sushant Singh Rajput's case intensifies, the Central Bureau of Investigation has summoned Rhea for the 5th time today for further questioning. So far, she has been grilled by the CBI for over 35 hours. On Monday, Rhea was questioned for a marathon 9 hours on Sushant's mental health and her role in Sushant's treatment. India Today has learned that CBI has been asking Rhea similar questions to find loopholes in her statements. Along with Rhea, her brother Shauvik too has been summoned by the CBI. This will be the 6th time that he will be summoned by the CBI. Now, India Today also spoke exclusively to Satish Manishinde, Rhea's lawyer, who spoke on allegations made by Sushant's family of Rhea overdosing Sushant. The lawyer has brushed aside all these claims. Let's take a listen.
And joining me now is Rhea Chakraborty's lawyer Satish Manishinde, speaking on TV for the first time. Mr. Manishinde, what are you and your client trying to prove by claiming that Sushant's family knew of his depression? The fact is that the question that the family is raising, they claim that Rhea was giving Sushant the wrong drugs, that she was giving him the wrong medicines, and that was responsible in a way for Sushant's eventual deterioration in his health condition. What are you and your client then trying to prove now?
Well, I don't have to prove anything. The fact is that the family of Sushant made an allegation before the court, before the CBI, before the Patna police and various other investigating agencies that it was Rhea who was administering the medicines, number one. Number two, she was giving an overdose and she was manipulating his health. As a matter of fact, it is revealed that Rhea had taken him to doctors of his choice and all reputed doctors of the city of Mumbai. There were 5 doctors who were advising him from time to time. The first doctor he went to was in 2013 and the last doctor whom he was consulting was in 2020, even on the date when Rhea left the house. Therefore, there was nothing which Rhea did without the advice and prescription of the doctors concerned. Now it is revealed that on the 29th of November, Sushant's sister had taken messages from Shruti, including the doctor's telephone number. She knew what the medication was being administered, and therefore they were aware of it as far back as November 2019.
Now, in a new twist to Sushant Singh Rajput's case, India Today has learned that Sushant was communicating with his, communicating in the morning of June 8th when Rhea was still there. They were still speaking. In fact, Sushant's sister Priyanka, in fact, told him to have anti-anxiety pills as well. Here's a report on that.
Explosive revelations that will be the biggest twist in the SSR death probe. What happened on the morning of 8th June? That lays bare that Sushant's sisters had full knowledge of his mental illness. Not only did they know, but one of his sisters, Priyanka, helped him get prescription drugs illegally. June 8th, time 10 a.m. Rhea Chakraborty still had not left Sushant's residence. India Today has accessed a conversation between Sushant and his sister Priyanka on a messenger chat. Sushant was communicating with his sister Priyanka, where Priyanka tells him to have 3 separate medications. The communication that happened on a messenger app where Priyanka asks Sushant to start with Librium capsule for a week, then start Nexito 10 mg once every day after breakfast. Priyanka in the message also asks him to keep Lonazep tablets for SOS so that he could use it in case of an anxiety attack. Sushant tells Priyanka that he would need a prescription to buy these medicines, which then Priyanka arranges, saying that he doesn't need to worry, it's confidential. The message raises doubts on how Sushant was being given prescription medication without even consulting a doctor himself. Priyanka also tells Sushant that her friend was a renowned doctor and could help Sushant connect with other good doctors in Mumbai. Priyanka then shared a prescription and informed Sushant about it, to which he says, "Thank you, Sonadi." This was the prescription that was sent to Sushant on the chat by Priyanka. It is from a reputed psychiatrist in Delhi working at the well-known RML, Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital of Delhi. The date on it is 8th June. The prescription was written in Delhi while Sushant was in Mumbai without any consultation. This is medically illegal. Nexito. It's a type of antidepressant used to treat depression, used to treat anxiety and panic orders. Librium. Sedative and a hypnotic medicine used to treat anxiety, insomnia. also used for treating acute alcohol withdrawal. Lonazep, MD, prescriptive medicine used to treat epilepsy, panic attacks and anxiety. Decreases excessive activity of nerve cells. Helps calm the brain. So far, the family of Sushant Rajput have said they don't know about any mental illness of SSR. Repeatedly, the family has released videos of him looking happy, Sushant spending time with family, reiterating that he was not suffering from any mental disorder. As per Rhea's lawyer, this chat will turn the narrative on this case and show who is lying.
What is shocking is that the sister and the entire family have been in denial. They made a false statement before the Bihar police. They made a false statement before the ED. They made a false statement before the CBI. And worst was that they made submissions before the Supreme Court that it was Rhea who was giving him overdose and drugging him, and because of which the death has occurred. And therefore, they submitted that she has looted his 15 crores and taken away all his monies. And, the truth has uncanny habit of coming out. And this is coming out from the statements and messages of Sushant's sisters and family members.
The CBI investigation is still on. However, these chats raise uncomfortable questions for those who have believed a single narrative till now. Sushant's family members have maintained that they didn't know of his illness. This chat says otherwise. This chat raises questions and in fact brings to light that they very well knew of his illness. The family has said Rhea gave him medication, but here it is Priyanka who's instructing him to take medication. Priyanka was in touch with Sushant on June 8th. Rhea left the house post 12 noon. While Priyanka was speaking to Sushant since 10 a.m. How did Priyanka procure prescription drugs illegally for Sushant, even though he had not consulted the doctor himself? These questions will be disconcerting for a bereaved family that till now has denied reports of mental illness, with investigating authorities and on social media. His former girlfriend refusing to believe that he could be depressed.
I'm saying he was not depressed. That's my thing, what I'm saying. And if somebody's saying that's suicide, I want to know what was the reason behind it.
His colleagues, who never met him, but said he wasn't depressed. As new angles emerge, ultimately this case will be trial by fire for all agencies involved to let the truth prevail. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, the National Testing Agency is all set to conduct JEE mains examination there from today amid elaborate arrangements to maintain social distancing, increasing the number of examination centres, alternate seating plans, fewer candidates per room and the staggered entry and exit that have been planned and arranged among other steps that have been taken for safe conduct of these examinations. According to the NTA officials, before the start of each examination shift and after the last shift ends, all seats will be thoroughly sanitized and the workstations and keyboards will be disinfected. The governments of Odisha, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh have assured students that they will provide transportation to candidates. Union Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal appealed to the chief ministers of various states to support the students appearing for these exams. As many as 8.58 lakh candidates have registered for the JEE mains, which will be held from today until the 6th of September. Another 15.95 lakh have registered for NEET examination, which will be scheduled on the 13th of September. Last rites of India's 13th President and Bharat Ratna Pranab Mukherjee to be conducted today after he died yesterday at the age of 84. He was admitted at Delhi's Army Hospital for the last 21 days and was being treated for brain clot. He later developed a lung infection and also tested positive for COVID-19. His body will be laid in state at his official residence at 10 Rajaji Marg in Delhi. President Kovind, Prime Minister Modi, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu and other VVIPs will pay their final homage from 9:15 a.m. The former president will be cremated around 2:30 p.m. at Lodi Crematorium. Due to COVID protocols, the mortal remains of Pranab Mukherjee shall proceed in hearse van instead of the normal gun carriage. All protocols guidelines will be strictly followed. The government has announced 7-day state mourning until the 6th of September.
The 84-year-old former president was hospitalized for a brain clot surgery at the Army's Research and Referral Hospital on August 10. With complications arising, Pranab Da was put on a ventilator. On Monday morning, doctors at the Army hospital announced that he had slipped into a deep coma. Around 5:45 p.m. on Monday, his son Abhijit announced that his father had passed away. Pranab Da's death left a nation in grief. Leaders from across the political spectrum in the country and many from neighboring nations saluted an outstanding statesman who left a deep, significant imprint on India's polity.
भारत रत्न पूर्व राष्ट्रपति श्री प्रणब मुखर्जी के निधन पर मैं शोक व्यक्त करता हूं। 5 दशक से भी अधिक अपने सार्वजनिक जीवनों में उन्होंने देश की अनुकरणीय सेवा की है।
देश ने एक महान सपूत खोया है। भारत रत्न प्रणब मुखर्जी के निधन से पूरा देश दुखी है।
देश का एक महान सपूत हमारे बीच से चले गया। मैं समझता हूं कि उनका योगदान देश के प्रति, कांग्रेस पार्टी में उनका योगदान इतिहास के सुनहरे अक्षरों में लिखा जाएगा।
For the last nearly weeks, Pranab Da's well-wishers clung on to the hope with prayers that he would recover. The news of his death left his admirers shattered. Bureau Report, India Today.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.